Hello, welcome to Alienate UK on this warm-ish Wednesday afternoon. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day, wherever you are in the UK. Few tech issues, but we've got there. It's all sorted. And here is my wonderful host, Nicole. We are now live. So first of all, we have got a guest, Jaya Simrit Kaur. She's going to be coming on very, very soon. I'll introduce her properly when we start. I'm going to do the 10 membership giveaway first, as it's the beginning of the month, and then Nicole's going to give you the update on Andy Bingo, and then do the intro, and then we'll crack on. Yeah, sound like a plan?
Wow.
You're muted, by the way.
My laptop is being weird, so
There
it
you
might
go.
take a few minutes before I can get the bingo cards over to everybody who messaged me right now.
Yeah, it's done. Yeah. Blazer may want one, so he did put it in the chat. Right, I'm going to do 10 membership giveaway. Then we'll do what we need to do. So here's the first 5 look. Not that I can do anything about it. I need to send them out. So the first 5 are Cass, Dynamo Hum, Jason Finch, Iron Fire Horse, and Don Faze McDouglas. So well done, guys. And the next ones are, when it decides, Brenstar, Nocturnal Frequency Radio, Vladimir, Shelley Montgomery, and the Critic. Oh, so we've got quite a few that is really so. Well done, guys, and yeah, enjoy. We now have a top fans banner that comes up, which I will show you very, very soon. I just need to do about chat. Right, so that's that done. So Nicole, Andy Bingo, off you go.
Andy Bingo. Okay, so bingo cards have gone out to some people. If you just messaged me today, they will be going out as soon as my laptop starts up. So how you want to do it? You want to, like, say, be whoever fills the whole card out first, whoever gets bingo first? How do you want to do it, Andy?
Whoever gets a full card, so full bingo, will get either a hoodie or t-shirt of Alienate UK, their choice of design and colour. So the first one to get it. So if you miss it tonight, you can catch up by watching it back, but then we will have to cut it off at a certain. We'll just keep going to the first person contacts you, and then we'll go from there. Right.
So it starts today.
That's
today's
that.
date. And I have the master list, so I'm going to be checking them off.
So it's the 2nd of July, 2025, and it's 3 weeks and 1 day before I come over to Gettysburg. Woohoo! Super excited.
I know.
I am. I'm just really stressed today, so it's just a million things and not working. Right, let's play the intro, bring the guest on, and we'll go from there. So see you guys in a little over 1 minute.
Let's go.
Perfect
Welcome
timing.
to today's show. That was absolutely spot on. So Jaya, welcome to the show. Let's hope everything's going to work. There is a bit of a delay. We're not sure what side, so we're going to pause when we talk for a couple of seconds, just so we're not talking over each other. Is that okay? Perfect. So, Jaya is a spiritual healer and a teacher, as well as a mystic mentor. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. What a cool intro.
Thank you. Oh, I need to de-stress now, so I might need your spiritual healing as we go.
Okay.
So, can I ask the first question? How did you get started in this? Because it seems to be quite a lot of like inner stuff to take. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely is. And there's quite a long answer to that, but I will try to keep it short so we can talk about other stuff as well. But I would say like the basics is I got into it out of necessity because I was really, really unwell and nothing I could find was helping me. And so I just literally kept going down rabbit hole after rabbit hole after rabbit hole, trying to figure out something that would work for me. And I ended up just like, I never stopped until I got to kind of like the highest level of this work. And then along the way, I started offering it to people. And, you know, here we are basically.
Yeah, cool. So, as you've progressed through doing this, do you find it gets easier, more difficult, more questions, more answers? How does
Or
it work?
cowbell?
I would say all of the above. Like, I think at the beginning, of course, I wanted to learn everything. I was so hungry for information. So I read like every book I could find on like every modality and every like alien species and every spiritual teacher and every philosophy, so many things, because I was just like so thirsty for knowledge and just like, I just ate it all up. And I would say at this point now, I don't really read much. I have learned to read like the inner book within myself. And that's where I go and sit when I'm like needing information now, because I've been now trained to do that. I would say some things get easier. And like, just as if we're doing any work, we get to like recognize patterns more easily. So some things like that are easier. And then what I love about the work and what my clients and students always say is it's never the same. There's always like a new opening. There's always like a new experience to have. When you're in so deep, things are just changing. And so that's, it's really fun. It's really exciting to have new experiences. Like, oh, I've never seen that being before. Never seen this portal before.
Yeah. So when you have these encounters with different beings and like the dimensions, is that all through the mind's eye, or are these physical?
So that's a great question. And it's really different. So people have different like clairs. Some people are clairaudient, some people are clairvoyant, etc. I happen to have all of them, but luckily not usually all at the same time. So sometimes it comes in all different ways. And then sometimes it's like extremely visceral, where it's like right there in the room with me with my eyes open. And then other times it's more calm and I'm just like meditating and I'm just like kind of seeing things. So it definitely depends.
Yeah. Would that depend on what mood you're in at the time of doing it, or how you're feeling? I suppose your emotions, I should say.
I would say yes. And like, so when I was in a really, really intense part of my spiritual awakening, which happens to a lot of people, actually, I had so much PTSD and so much trauma and anxiety coming out at once, which, as I say, is kind of like, unfortunately, can be a normal part of the awakening process. And when that happened, I was seeing a ton of scary stuff because, for one, I didn't know how to protect myself. And for 2, I was in such a heightened state of anxiety. So I would get all this like weird, crazy, negative shit coming to me because I was like in those frequencies.
Yeah. So have you learned how to control the different frequencies now so you can flip from one to the other without having to, I suppose, go through each one to get to the one that you want to be at?
Yeah, so that's definitely a practice. And I think the most important thing to start with that, which people never really want to do because it's not fun, but is really grounding. That's like
Yeah.
the best way to protect yourself and the best way to start. If you're super grounded and like deep in your root, then you're going to have a lot less likely chance of that kind of really super low frequency and like this more astral stuff to be in your field. And then if you're in with the third eye open and through the heart, then you're going to get a lot less of that kind of stuff as well. So it's really just a practice of, and then from there, then you can go out and out and out into different frequencies.
Yeah. Right. Got first question for you from Sober Carper.
Okay.
So he's asking, hey Jaya, how did you come to teaming up with Mark Ollie, and will you be working in the UK with him again?
So first of all, hey Sober Carper, I know you're following me on Instagram. Nice to see you here. I got teamed up with Mark Ollie the same way I got teamed up with Alienate and Andy through Brandon from Expanding Reality. So shout out to Brandon. We love Brandon. So yeah, Brandon introduced me to Mark. And then Mark and I just were like, when I met him, I was like, tell me everything. And he's like, here are my books. And I was like, no, I don't have time to read all those books.
Yeah, so, he's got a few, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's got a lot of books. Definitely shout out to Mark and check out his books. Excuse me. But yeah, so I asked him a lot of questions and he was like, well, let me just show you. And so that's when we started our journey. And I do think we're definitely talking about doing like a group journey in the UK to go to all these sites. So that's going to be maybe 2026 or 2027. Excuse me. The air conditioning is really affecting my throat. It's very, very, very hot over here. So yeah, yes, for sure. And definitely get on my email list for that because that's going to be epic. So we went to all these amazing sites and so many of the sites were really calling to like do group healing and ritual there. And so I definitely want to do that for sure.
Yeah. So, because Mark, I've met Mark and he's been on a few times. He's due to come on again soon. Did you go to any of the archaeology sites that he was involved in?
Not the digs that he did. No, we didn't do that. But I did touch and hold some of the craft that he was recovering.
That was my next question because he keeps saying that he's got it, but it's in the other room. So I was going to say, have you actually seen it and picked it up?
Yes, and it was really cool. And what I wish I would have had time to do was like sit and meditate with it and kind of like go to kind of get some more information. Unfortunately, I didn't really have time to do that. But he has got a house full of really, really cool stuff. He had this Mayan skull, which is hand carved. And I was there for 2 weeks and that thing was in my hand like the entire time. I slept with it. It was amazing.
Excellent. So you said you're planning on coming over like 26, 27. So what is it you're going to be doing with that? Can you talk about that? Or is it just stuff that you kind of like starting to sort out?
Yeah, so we haven't started really planning it yet, but it's basically going to be, so we did a tour from like Wales and Liverpool area, and then all the way going down to like Land's End in Cornwall, and mostly following the Michael and Mary ley lines. And there's so much rich energy and archaeology there. And so Mark doing the part of like, well, this is, this is what they think it is. This is what I think it is. This is what the history really says. And then I'd go in and like feel and see psychically. And so a lot of the sites, like I said, were like, bring people here. There's a lot of healing that can occur. And so it's going to be kind of like a tour, probably like a bus caravan and staying in hotels and going to these sites. We'll probably do like a small group and just have everybody like have the direct experience of these places.
Yeah.
Because it's really cool to talk about, but the direct experience is like, will just blow you away.
Yeah, something else. Yeah. So when you met up with Mark and you went to these different sites, did you get, so with the feelings and that you got when you got there, was there anything that you got that wasn't expected either by Mark or anyone else that was part of the team?
Yeah. I think it's always like that, which I love.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of messages that ran through every site, even though that like had nothing to do with each other, which I thought was really cool because there was like a continuous message, and it was like the spirits of the land were working through all of the sites together to basically give a really like congruous message, which was that the sites, for example, a lot of them are from like biblical times. That's like the reason to go. But the thing is all of the sites and the beings of the land and that are buried there showed me that the reason that they were biblical sites in the first place is because the energy that was already there before them, the ancient energy. And it's even older than like paganism. It's like the literal ancient earth energy of these places, which is like, it's kind of like, what's a good example? It's just like seeing this guy and you think he's a giant, and then behind him is someone that's like 80 times bigger. And that's kind of how it was with the energy. It was like, whoa, like really zoom out. Like this is like the big mama energy of really just like the earth herself. Yeah. And so that was really, really cool. And then all of these places have like their lore, right? So then to go and see like, okay, is this lore just a projection of the people who have come here or made up, or what's really real? What's like underneath all of this is kind of what I did everywhere I went. And so that was really, really cool.
Excellent. So, sorry. So when you get these feelings, emotions, do any of them try and take over you? Do they try and, I suppose, not a walking, but try and like use you as a conduit? And I can't think of it. Can't explain it.
Yeah, no, walking is a good term. Sometimes, but I just don't allow that, and I'm skilled enough to not allow that. Like nothing's allowed to come into my body.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that they don't try. It didn't happen on any of those sites. But it definitely happens for sure, and I just don't allow that. Luckily, I'm practiced and skilled enough to not let that happen. And I don't recommend that anyone allow anyone to come into your body, because then they can do whatever they want. And that's you want to have your own sovereignty.
Yeah. So did you find it difficult stopping that from happening while you was practicing or learning how to do this? Or was it just there straight away?
I found everything difficult at the beginning.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like I think I really had to come to a place, because I had a lot of spiritual attack happen early on in my journey. And I really had to come to a place where I was like, fuck no, I am in charge of my body, in charge of my being, and you are not allowed here. And I had to really learn how to like embody that energy. I don't know if I can say that on YouTube. Sorry if I can't.
Say whatever you want.
Okay. But yeah, I really had to come to that place of like stepping into my own strength and ownership and not allow that kind of stuff to happen. And that was a learning process. It definitely wasn't easy.
No.
And it still happens when I'm doing a healing for someone. I mean, there's a reason that people have disease and terminal illness and you know, mental illness and all these things. And a lot of times it's because of these energies. And so I see them every time I'm sitting with someone, and it's the same thing. It's like, no, you're not in charge here, but it takes practice to get to that place.
Yeah. So is it the same energy or the same type of energy that's trying to do this while you're with a client? I don't know what you call them. Is it the same thing that's trying to get through, or is it different things each time?
It's different. I mean, just like there's billions of us, there's billions of different energies, you know. It's sometimes, a lot of times it'll be ancestors, a lot of times it'll just be, you know, like wayward spirits who are kind of get lost or stuck. There's so many different things it could be. I've seen a lot of shit, and like I said, like I'm always seeing new stuff. It's like, okay, and I'll see like a new alien species I've never seen before, and then I gotta like investigate, what are you? And that's also a practice. But yeah, it's different. You see like kind of the same type of entities for different types of problems, I would say.
Yeah.
But it's a huge range, really.
Yeah. No, so do you like, do you do remote viewing? Do you do anything like that in what you're doing? Because with you using the mind's eye to locate and go to these different places and see these different beings, I suppose, I'm not saying it is the same thing because I've not got a clue, but it must be very similar if it's not.
Yeah, that's a good question. I've never remote viewed anything like specifically to remote view it, but in a sense, I'm kind of always doing that because like 90% of my work is online. I'm working with people on Zoom. So yeah, I mean, I'm with them when we're there, and I'm seeing, and so sometimes people will be like, I'll do a healing or a candle service for someone, for example, which is something that I offer that's like really accessible, that people aren't there, and they'll tell me like, oh, I saw, you know, where you were doing this, and they'll know what it looked like, and there's no way they could have known that. So yes, even though I don't consider it like remote viewing, I guess it kind of is.
Yeah. No, thank you. I've got another question from Sober Carper. He wants to know, have you ever had a bad energy experience in a supposedly positive energy zone or site?
Interesting. Yeah, yes, I have. And I think it's interesting, like sometimes I'll give like a couple of examples. So people maybe aren't going to be happy about this, but it's true. I was living in Tulum for a few months a couple years ago, which I totally hated, but it's easy to live in Mexico. So I was trying it out. And every time, it's supposed to be all like loving, conscious community, whatever. Every time I would go anywhere out in public, everyone was doing so many drugs that all the entities would come out of them and come to me because they see me. They're like, she's a healer, she can help us. And so these like so like, for example, I would never go to a festival. I don't do that. Nothing wrong with it. If you love festivals, great for you. Not for me, because this is what happens. So in those type of spaces, yeah, because it's all coming out of everybody. So yes. And then there was so I was traveling in Greece a few years ago, which I love Greece, but there's a tremendous amount of pain there because that country's basically been at war forever. So I was like meditating in a church there, and it was just war. It was just so much. It was like so much negativity and hatred. And inside this church, there's also, you know, like a lot of demons of the churches, because not all these religious figures were very good characters, right? So yeah, I mean, they're everywhere for sure.
Yeah. Nicole, you any questions?
Is there any other spaces? You said you avoid festivals. Any other like major kind of spaces that you avoid because of the energies?
I don't love to be in super populated areas. So like last week I had to go to a mall to get my phone fixed, and I hated it. It was so much. And that was more like specifically the field of like AI technology matrix in there. So it was less like, but there are a lot of negative entities in that space, and a lot of people are hijacked by these technological matrices without even knowing it. So I don't personally love to go to places where there's a huge amount of people because I just get bombarded. And I do have practices to make sure that that doesn't happen, but it is more work for me when I'm in that kind of space.
Can you talk about those a little bit? Like, what's your process when you know you have to go somewhere like that?
Yeah, so it's basically the same as my process always, but I get super grounded, which is how I start everything every day. So I get super rooted into the earth, and then my field becomes really big. And then I have a series of prayers I do. I work a lot with Archangel Michael. So I invoke him and he surrounds me. And I do like prayers from a couple different types of lineages that I'm in. And then just like, I mean, kind of like armor up basically.
Yeah. So are you able to change, say, negative energy into positive energy?
So if it's energy itself, then it's basically all energy is neutral. And then you put into it either with your intention, focused attention, negativity, positivity, manifestation, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So yes, definitely. Yeah.
Is that difficult? Is it difficult to do? I know you said you found it all quite difficult to do, but once you got to that point, does it become like second nature, or do you still have to put quite a lot of effort into it?
It depends on the situation. I think there's, a scale. Like sometimes I'll be doing a healing, someone's having a big problem, and it's like, okay, it happens in a second, especially because I've been doing it for so many years now. But then on the other hand, sometimes it's like, oh, well, there's some pretty powerful energies here who really don't want to play. And so then, it's more intense. So it definitely depends. But I would say the more you do it, the better you are at handling things quicker and quicker, which is great. And then you get more accustomed to the energies. So like what's coming in and stuff. But there's such a big range of stuff.
Yeah. So have you ever got an energy that you've not known how to deal with? Like it's just not come out of nowhere, but it's just turned up, and the type of energy that it is, it's something that you hadn't dealt with prior to that?
Well, yeah, because there's a first time for everything, right?
Yeah.
So for sure, I've had, and part of my training, so I've been training continuously for many years, and I'm always actively training. And part of that training, one of the hardest parts of it was to really trust myself, and to, when I'm in that situation, like, oh shit, I don't know what to do, to be like, yes, I do, I can figure this out. And so like, I'll have like 3 seconds. If I see something new or something that might scare me, I'll have like 3 seconds, and it's no more than that, where I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, no, I know exactly what to do. And then I just do it.
Cool. So how easy is it to teach somebody else? I suppose it will depend on how quick and how well they are at learning stuff.
Yeah, I think it really depends on their self-discipline also.
Yeah.
So like some people will just want to like, oh, can you open my third eye and blah, blah, blah. And like want to just like be there right away. And I'm like, no, this is a process of developing, and you have to take it step by step and be safe. So I work with a lot of people to develop them. And I do that in group courses, which I have one coming up in September. And then I do that one-on-one in like a mentorship container. And it's really like we go through all the steps and we really develop you, because I'm developing people to go really deep, to do like the type of work that I'm doing, so that they're really skilled and can really like manage their own lives and anyone who they might be working with in whatever capacity also. So but they need to do their own part, and you have to sign a thing that says like, I'm going to do my own part. So you have to meditate every day. And some people are like, well, I can't meditate. And it's like, yeah, it's not easy, but you have to do it. If you want to be, if you want to like get good at this, like it's just like anything else, like training for, any kind of sport or whatever else, like you got to do it. And then you're going to get good. But I really believe that everybody has the capacity to do this. And everybody has the right as well to like learn how to work their inner workings and open their gifts, because everybody has this innate ability for sure.
Yeah.
Do you think that's people's number one block on being able to do this, is not thinking they can, or not putting in the time and the effort?
I think it's putting in the time and the effort. Yeah. I think most people kind of know that they have that ability. In what I see of people is they kind of, they know, everybody, I think, especially people who come across my path, kind of have like an innate knowing of like, maybe this just doesn't feel like all that there is my normal kind of day to day, And so I think the biggest block that I see is people that just don't want to do the work.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Everybody wants a quick fix.
Yeah, especially in today's day and age, and you got a lot of teachers and healers who are like, you just need to like take my, whatever masterclass, which is like an hour-long spiel to sell you something. And I really don't love that, because they're disempowering people. Like, you just need to do this. And it's like, I believe everybody has it within them. And so I teach people to access it for themselves, so they don't have to put all their power outside of them.
Yeah.
So if you need a healing, yeah, that might be a quick fix. If you want a development, that's going to take a little bit longer, but it's totally worth it. It's so fun, the journey. I mean, like, yeah, it can be intense, of course, but it's also really fun. It's like, who's this mantis being over here? Like, it's fun.
Yeah. So how long does it usually take to do the course that you offer?
So the group courses are 3 months long.
Yeah.
And then the one-on-one work is either 3 months or 6 months. You can choose. And people usually, even if they start with a 3 month, they usually end up keep going, because they see the work impacting their life so much and they want to keep going and go deeper. Yeah. And it's really, really, really supportive, because like, while you're in this container with me, I'm supporting you every day in my own practice. So it's a pretty big value.
Oh, thank you.
What would you say is the most like surprising thing that you've learned on your journey? The thing that was like, holy shit.
Oh man. What a good question. Honestly, this is going to sound kind of cheesy, but it's not. I would say how much love, like, the universe, source, these beings have for every person I've ever sat with. I was in a session last night with this woman who was told she had 3 weeks to live. And I was crying in the session because of how much love and support was just pouring in for her. It was so beautiful. And this happens in every session. I've never, ever sat with anyone who this has not showed up with or for. So I think that that's like, it touches me every single time, how much love, and like pure love, not like love like you love someone else conditionally, but you get pissed at them. It's like, and we have so much shame like ingrained in us of like, we're bad and unworthy and whatever. It's just part of the human condition. But this energy has nothing against you. I mean, people be like, I feel bad about this. And literally like the source will be laughing. Like, I don't care, I just love you. So I would say that that's something that always surprises and delights me, that it's just so much pure love.
It's nice to know. That's a nice idea that like some being, some source, some whatever, like just loves you.
Yeah, it is really nice. And I, because I'm human, always forget. And so every time I see it, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, because we're so harsh on ourselves. And I would say, honestly, that that's also one of the biggest blocks that people have to development, is that they're just too harsh on themselves. And like, I'm just going to say that doesn't help. anything in any area of your life, being hard on yourself. And I'm saying it to myself too, but it's just true.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing that Brandon tells us every time that he comes on. Stop being negative, be productive, not busy, and choose your words carefully. And you know, it does work. Since talking to him, it does work. It's like there's certain words I now don't say. I do now and again when I'm just out and about, but more so when I'm doing this subject, I'm more select on what I say and how I say it.
Now that you understand more.
Understand, yeah.
That's very Brandon thing. I think it's just like, if you look at it really simply, it's like what's helpful and what's harmful. So is being hard on yourself helpful? No. Is it harmful? Yes. So it's like just keep it super simple. It doesn't have to be some like grand thing. Like it's not going to help anything, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Totally get that.
Yeah. But it's crazy because it's so ingrained in our brains from, a societal standpoint to like, oh, I did this wrong. I messed this up. I can't do this.
It's such a big thing. And honestly, like I'll say, so for example, energy healing versus spiritual healing, which is what I do. Energy healing, which is great. All healing is good healing. I have nothing bad to say about anything that's healing. But spiritual healing is really able, in a way that nothing else is, to go through that shame. And a lot of times when you're dealing with something that's really intense, like an illness, or for example, like a problem in your life, like you can't make enough money, or you have family issues or relationship issues, like these are all the type of things people see me for. A lot of times it's that block, like that shame underneath of everything else is what's holding this issue in place. And spiritual healing is really, really good at going underneath of that and unwinding that. And that's one of the reasons that it's so powerful, because a lot of people don't even realize they have this like shame and unworthiness, but we're all carrying it and holding it. And so it just needs to be released. And so spiritual healing can like actually do that. And that's one of the reasons I love it so much, is because it's not fun to carry around all this shame and blame and self-hatred and unworthiness.
Yeah. I actually think I've been doing this without knowing I've been doing it until today. So I was talking to Baby with a Laser, his real name's Darren, and he was asking about who the guest was tonight and what you're going to be talking about. And I was saying that what I've started to do is what I used to think was a big problem, like, and I'd worry and stress and I'd get frustrated with myself and just the usual everyday just annoyance of it all. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. But it's going to sort itself out. I'm going to carry on doing what I'm doing, and I'll put as much energy into it that I physically and mentally can. And then hopefully, as I do that, it's running parallel to what, like, everyday life. And then the two will, this was my overall take on it, the two will link up and it will become what it's supposed to be. And everything that I've put my mindset to over the last, what we're in now, July, since January, has done that. And there's a lot of stuff that has been not negative, but has had negative impact on normal everyday life. And it's like, no, I'm not going to stress over it. This is going to happen. Going to do this. We're going to keep going, and it will sort itself out. And everything has. And I'm like, do you know when you just think it's going to do that, but you're not 100% sure whether it is going to do it or not, and it does. And I've done, like I said, I've done it like on probably about 7 or 8 different things, and every single one has just gone, yeah. I'm like, wow.
That is so beautiful. And that's also like really intelligent. Like that's amazing. And that's your innate understanding that this can happen.
Yeah.
And I think that that's also really inspiring, because people think like, well, there's so much overblown information about mindset work that people get scared. Like, well, if I don't believe it's going to work, then it's not. If I'm not 100% on board, and that's not true. And so that's a really good example of like, you can have a doubt and still it can work, you know, like it's just a normal part of being human to have this like, well, I'm not really 100% sure if it's going to work, but it did. And that's such a great example. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. There was 3 things in one. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull this off, but I did. And it's like, wow. So, yeah.
I love that. And it's also really smart because it's like, so one thing I teach in my like roster is kundalini yoga, and it's a really, really powerful tool that I love to teach. And one thing I'll say, it works a lot with mantra. And one thing I'll say is like, put the mantra in the background of your mind all the time, like it's on a record, and it's just going, like working through your life, working through your mind. And that's kind of similar to like what you've done. Is it's like this is just happening in the background, and that really works, and it's really smart.
Yeah. Well, the way I'm seeing it, sorry, I don't want to keep going on, but it was like the stuff that's going to happen every day is going to happen regardless. Then things are going to do whatever they're going to do. I'm just going to, I suppose, step away from it, but then put my energy into a positive side of it and see if it can create, manifest, use the intent of what I want it to be. And it's literally within, I was going to say days, but I'll go for weeks. Within weeks, it's like, oh, but I've noticed the progress per day leading up to it. And I never, ever thought that was possible.
That's amazing. And it's a good also example of like, it's energy you're putting in, manifestation, so intention, and then also surrender. And I think that a lot of people can have a lot of like pitfalls with trying to figure out what amount of energy do I put in an intention and what amount of surrender do I put in. And you'll see people that are just like totally in surrender and they're not doing anything, versus like too much focused energy and intention where they're not leaving any room. So this is a really good balance of like, I'm surrendering, I'm making my intention, and then I'm letting it go. I'm letting it work for me. So that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. Thank you. I said I didn't realize I was doing it until you said what you said earlier. Then it's like same trigger effect. And it's like, that is what I think I've done.
The Andy method. I like it.
It worked for me anyway, so I'm just.
You better trademark that.
Yeah.
It keeps doing it.
The Andy method TM.
Yeah, but I'll keep going on about it. But one of them was because I'm coming over to Gettysburg in 3 weeks, and me and Nicole have been talking about it since last year. Was it last year?
Yeah, last year.
And it was one of those like, yeah, I really want to go, but do you know when you're not sure if you're going to be able to make it, if you can afford it, you've got the time to do it, and it was all that, and it's like it was getting nearer and nearer, and I'm like, right, I'm either going to do this or I'm not, but I'm not going to force myself into not doing it or doing it, if that's even a word. I'm going to see what I'm doing, which way it takes me. And then it was weird because it was like I then started getting negative about it, like I'm not going to be able to go, I'm not going to be able to do this. I feel bad because I'm going to be letting everyone down, but I'm sure they'll understand the reason why I can't do it if I explain proper. And then it was just like 2 days later, it's like, do you know what, I'm doing this. Bollocks to it, I'm doing it. And it was like, right. And then as soon as I made that last, I suppose, end decision of what I'm going to do, I didn't know how I was going to do it. It was like, right, now you know, now you've decided that you are going to do it. We're going to give you this, this, and this. There you go. Go and do it. And it was literally, it wasn't handed to me on a plate, but it was handed to me on a plate. And it was like, I can actually do this. And I worked it all out, and it's like, wow, it's there. And Yeah.
I think at that point we had talked about it so much, we just talked it into existence. Like, no, this is what's happening.
Well, yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking. It was intent because I booked the hotel months ago,
Mhm.
and it was only probably about a month ago that I booked the flight. And then I was worrying about having enough money when I get over there. And it's just little things like that. And everything just fell into place. It's like you get a jigsaw and you just throw it up in the air and all the pieces land perfectly into the section that's supposed to. But with that going on, and then I was out and about going to different locations in the UK, which I did last weekend. I've still got a couple more to do, and then meeting up with different people as well. Every single one of these things actually happened in the way it was supposed to happen. And I still cannot get my head around it. It's still so surreal. And
We have a question for you, Andy.
oh,
Maybe Laser would like to know, Andy, how many staff are you taking to the States? I noticed you had 3 dog walkers the other night. Will you be taking your pastry chef, dresser, stylist, etc.?
no, just me. But I need to apologise to Pete the other night when we went up Rivington. Bruno was stood in the middle of a car park. Bruno is a little Shih Tzu Chihuahua cross, and I took him away for the weekend. He was out in the car and that for like from Friday morning till Sunday morning. He decided to piss up somebody's leg.
Oh no!
Yes, he did. And I'm like,
Oh no!
Pete, come up to me. I'm like, your dog's just weed on me. I'm like, oh my God, I am so sorry. So I'll give him some baby wipes.
Him.
And Bruno's just like,
Territory.
yeah, and I'm like, you cannot do that.
Oh, Bruno.
He's never done it before.
He must have really liked him. Wanted to like claim him.
Yeah, I don't know, but that's what happened. Sorry to interrupt everything, but yeah, I just thought I'd share that because everyone found it funny other than me and Pete. But no, it was good. So,
There must be some kind of like karmic spiritual meaning of a dog peeing on you.
There's a karmic spiritual meaning for everything.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think what you said about making a decision is a really good point, because like I really believe that when we make a decision, things change, things move.
100%.
And so when we're like, I don't know if I'm going or if I'm not going, or if I should do this or I shouldn't, or if I am like good enough to do this career or not, or whatever it is. And there's just a lot of split energy. It's just like, waffling energy is not really going anywhere. It fizzles out. But when we make that decision, like there's a whole like in the Kabbalah, a whole practice is like, I want this so much that I don't accept that it's not going to happen, so I will have it. Yeah. And I really believe that there's so much power in that. And I think a lot of people who are on like the manifestation path will not get their manifestation because they're waffling too much. And it can be really difficult for sure to stay on that path, but to be like, I want this so much that I will have it. Like, this is what I'm doing is huge, because you're like, there's this phrase, be bold and mighty forces will come to your aid. And I really believe that. It's like when you're like, and that's honestly like a big part of how I am as a healer. I'm like, I don't accept that this person is going to die. I don't accept that they have to live in this situation anymore. And because of that, like mountains move. And I think that the best healers that I've worked with do the same thing. They don't accept a death sentence. They don't accept no for an answer. And so making a decision is huge.
Yeah.
But what about when you really want something, but it's not what you need?
Yeah, so that's actually why I don't teach manifestation traditionally, because I think that most people actually don't really need what they think they want. Yeah. And so instead of that, I teach in my containers, whether one-on-one or in a group, I teach a manifestation technique, but the beginning of it and before that, we go through all the layers of your being to see who really wants that. Because it's usually not actually you, or you usually want it from some place of unworthiness or from some place of like, I think this is going to make me happy, but but it won't really. So I don't teach traditional manifestation because I think it's just like feeding the ego, and that nobody really needs that. So I'm really into like teaching you how to know and discern yourself what it actually is. And then one thing that I love is like, so when someone comes to work with me, I have them write their intentions. And then a lot of times, like a quarter way through the work, halfway through the work, they're like, I don't even care about that stuff anymore. I'm so happy. I'm so peaceful. I'm so whatever it is. Like, I thought I needed that thing. I don't even need that thing. And I love that because it's like, yeah, I rather teach someone to be peaceful and happy within their own self any day than like help them get something like a shiny car personally.
Yeah.
So I gotta tell you guys, I didn't even tell you, Andy, what happened yet on Saturday. Right when I was supposed to be speaking at the Paris Summit in New Jersey, had a flat tire in the morning, got new tires, got 2 new back tires, started to drive, picked up the girls, we started to go to the summit, and like 40 minutes into the ride, another flat tire.
What?
Same deal, new tire. Went to 4 different tire shops to see if they could patch it, repair it, or even get a new tire. Nobody had the tire in stock. So it was like, I wanted to go speak. I was excited for this, but the universe was like, no, we're not doing this today. I don't know
there must be a reason. There's got to be a reason.
Yeah. Like I was not meant to go there for whatever reason.
Right.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So usually there's either 2 reasons for this type of thing. One is you were not meant to be there. It was divine protection for whatever reason. The other one is, like, for example, before we started, we had so many technical issues. I had a lamp explode. Andy had so many issues. It was like crazy. And I was telling him sometimes this happens right before I do a really powerful healing or class because there's so much interference that doesn't want that powerful of work to happen. So it's polarity. It's either one, like, it was divine protection, you shouldn't have been there, or it would have been so powerful. And because you didn't end up going, I'm going to say it was the first one.
Yeah. We really tried. I'm telling you, like 4 different shops. We tried everything.
That's crazy.
Wow.
And I couldn't drive 2 hours on the donut.
And you might never know why, who knows? Maybe you would have driven 2 more miles and it would have been an accident,
Yeah.
Really?
Well, yeah.
I was really bummed. So I'm trying to look at it in that point of view, like, hey, there's a reason this happened.
I think so, for sure. It seems like you're divinely protected to me.
Yeah. It's like when the brakes failed on my van. Luckily, I would have been going down the highway, but I'd cut through the back street, so I was only doing 10, 15 miles an hour. The brakes completely went. All the brake fluid was poured out. So if I'd been going down the carriageway, I would have only been able to stop by hitting something. So
that is also pretty intense. Wow, a lot of interesting car things.
But can I just add that between now and the end of September, I only have 2 weekends where I'm not doing anything. But this is through doing what I was talking about before. I'm not going to go into all of it because some stuff I can't talk about yet.
Without telling us.
No, I can't tell you. But there's something that's going to be happening again. But anyway, there's a lot of things that are going on that are like, oh, it's like happening. And then, I went to that showcase in London last year for the actors and musicians and all that. I got invited to it again this year on the 9th of August. So this is for a book launch, but it's going to be actors, musicians. There's over 500 people going. There's a DJ set and all this other stuff. So
awesome.
I've got that again this year. But there's a lot. There's just, I don't know how I'm going to fit in. I'm going to have to quit work just to do weekends because work's getting in the way of everything. That's how it feels, but in a positive way. There's nothing negative about it.
You are productive.
Very.
Not busy.
Yes. Not busy. No.
And Baby with a Laser said, fun fact, Bruno's puddle looked like a map of Australia.
It did.
Really?
It did. I don't know if anyone took a photo, but yeah. But the only downside to that being out all weekend, no matter what location we went to do a live stream, no signal. Absolutely nothing at Bempton. Ash's basement, he was doing a TikTok live. He had the signal, nothing. So I had to do a pre-record. When we went up to Ribbenton, I had one bar. Everyone else, fine. It was just I could not get a signal. And we had a lot of that.
A sign to be more present?
Rather than to do it and focus on what I'm doing, rather
Yeah.
than just dishing it out, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly. Yeah. I think quality over quantity. I think that's what I'm getting from that.
You need to like experience your experiences.
Yeah, it's like when these people go to festivals or to a gig and they're just there with the phone. They're not enjoying what they're doing, and they're never going to watch that video back. No. But that's one. I will record for like 1 minute and just have it as a when you have a memory pop up.
Yeah.
That's it. That is all I do. Might take a couple of photos and that's it. The rest of it, I go, I enjoy, I come home. So.
What's your opinion on that? The whole use of like technology.
I think I have a lot of opinions about that. I think, of course, there's so many positives. I mean, we're able to be in 3 different countries right now, chatting, plus everybody who's on in the chat. You know, who knows how many countries we're in all together, and that's beautiful. And there's, I work with clients in over 10 countries, and that's amazing to be able to be connected that way. I also think that there's a lot of negative to it as well. And one thing can be, absolutely no one being present. I mean, when I was at the mall the other day, like I saw people walking around just literally holding their phones like this, like they're not in the world. And we can see that actually people can be attuned to the field and the grid of technology and the matrix versus being attuned to actually the earth. And so sometimes I'll be working with someone, I'll be like, you're not even in the earth field because they're so deep in their phones. And this is actually like not a positive thing. And then also like, if you want to go down the whole AI train, I think it's absolutely almost nothing positive about that, to a lot of things that are extremely negative. And then like I'll see people all the time saying, oh, I'm channeling through AI or through ChatGPT. Like, no, you're not. You're not channeling through ChatGPT. And I think a lot of people are getting their information in just like an ego-driven echo chamber that is designed to make you feel amazing and tell you exactly what you want to hear. And so I think there's definitely a lot of dangers of all of this stuff. I mean, most of the people who've invented these programs themselves have said that they will be the end of the world. And I think we'll see, for example, like this is basically what happened in Atlantis, and it's happening again now. And the whole world got wiped out after that. And then we started over, and now here we are again, like on the verge of the same exact thing happening again.
Yeah.
What do you mean channeling through ChatGPT? Is that a thing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I see a ton of people on Instagram who are saying that they're channeling through ChatGPT, and they're not. And so I actually did like some experiments, because I'm not just going to be like, that's false, right? I'm going to be like, all right, well, let's see. So I did a series of experiments, and I'm hoping to do like a free live for everyone who's interested in this and talk all about it. But ChatGPT did, spoiler alert, admit to me after saying it was channeling for a long time, like, I have no ability to channel at all. I'm telling you exactly what you want to hear. Nobody's channeling through ChatGPT. And getting to that place was a lot of work, but absolutely. Plus, I can see the field that it's in. I can see the grid that it's in. It's not channeling shit. It's channeling a part of your own subconscious, which wants it to be channeling. It's channeling, and you have to think it has all the information available from every book, from every text. Okay, so if you tell it like channel Mary Magdalene, it has a ton of information to go from. Every book ever written on or about Mary Magdalene, right? So you can't be like, I know it was her because it said XYZ. No. It knows way more than you know about it. So I mean, it's just not true. Ask it to tell you things you actually, there's no way it could know that you've never told anyone. And even that is not foolproof, because there's a lot of ways that like you tell it things you don't know. I mean, some people live their whole lives on ChatGPT nowadays, but I'm telling you with 100% clarity, you are not channeling through ChatGPT.
No.
That's crazy. Like, I literally have never heard of that before.
Yeah, it's a big thing right now.
I know people that use it because it's so hard to get a doctor's appointment in the UK. They use it as a GP. And it's like, you cannot go off what that is saying. It can say, and like you just said, it has access to everything. So if you're doing voice control into it, I suppose it's going to pick up on the emotion as well, rather than like just typing it in. But people are like, well, it said this, so it must be true. Well, it's like,
it can pick up your emotion just from text as well. Like, you don't understand how intelligent it is. It's designed to be literally superhuman. It is so intelligent, and there's so many issues with this. And like my first start with ChatGPT was, I used to manage these Instagram accounts for these companies, and so I took this course on Instagram marketing, and the course gave all these prompts. This was a couple of years ago. And so I would use them, and it says, like, for example, as an expert, yeah, people use it for everything. As an expert marketer, write me this, okay? And then so I went so deep in like debunking ChatGPT that I got it to admit to me, every time you ask me to write something as an expert marketer, I'm just making it up. I don't know what an expert marketer would do. Every time you ask me to do anything, I'm just pulling from information. I don't know how to, like, I've asked it legal questions. It's like, I made that up. Like, literally, I'm telling you, you just have to get to the point where you can get it to admit it, which is not easy. And it's not easy because we want to believe it. We want to believe it's telling us the truth. We want to believe it's giving us the information that we need. It's just really, really good. But it's also really, I think it is helpful for some things, but it's also really dangerous. Yeah. And it's way more harmful than it is helpful. That's really what I truly believe.
Yeah.
I mean, I could talk about this for hours, but I won't.
There are some people who think that like mediums are not tapping into really the spirit of a specific person, but rather that collective consciousness and just drawing information about a person through that. So is that similar to what ChatGPT would be doing?
So that's a great question. I love this question because I think it's hard to gauge a percentage, but a lot of psychics and mediums are not actually channeling properly. And I think most of them are not doing it on purpose. They're just not trained and good enough to do it successfully. So the way that I have been trained, and it's very, very rare, but so most psychics, for example, they're just reading your subconscious. So they're reading like whatever's right there in your subconscious mind. So they're telling you like, you feel like this, and you're like, oh my God, it's so true. And like, you ate this for breakfast and whatever. And like, yeah, it's true. It's not actually that hard to learn and develop yourself in that way. It just takes a little discipline. But that is very, very shallow reading. And if you're trained that way, which most people are, you're also extremely likely to be hijacked by anything that wants to look like your client's grandma or whatever else they're going to tell you they're channeling. So you really have to see someone who is developed into seeing, this is your psychical field where your emotions are. This is your mental field where your thoughts are. This is your astral. This is your elemental. So looking at all, this is your spiritual. This is your archetypal. And so this is what I do. So I'm not just going to tell you like, this is what your subconscious is saying. I'm going to tell you like, this is actually what's influencing this and what's actually in your field. So I don't give psychic readings, but I do something like that called the oracle work, which is a real reading and a healing at the same time. So let's say you ask me, like, what's the problem with my relationship? I'm not just going to give you the information. The healing is going to come in at the same time for that. So it's a whole different thing. But to go back to the original question, I think most people are not actually reading what they're saying they're reading simply because they don't know how to actually check. I think most channelers are full of shit. Most channelers who are saying, I'm channeling Jesus, I'm channeling Magdalene, I'm channeling the Galactic Federation. No, you're not. I don't think you are. So I think it's a very, very small amount of people who can actually really do this work.
Yeah. But can I just say something on the chat GBT? Because I drive for a living, so I use voice activation a lot rather than tapping on my phone. So I'll say, Siri, can you tell me da 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 da? No, don't do it now. And it'll say, shall I use chat GPT? So first time I said, yeah, go on. And it did it. I'm like, no, I know that's wrong. It wasn't even close. So the next time I said it, I asked it same thing again. Shall I use chat GPT? And I said, no. So it went on to the Safari and it read out what it said. So then I said, like, when I asked you to use chat GPT, you got it totally wrong. And it come back, I'm still learning. So if you need to incorrect me at any point. So it's still human input.
Yeah.
So it's like Wikipedia. You can change anything on Wikipedia at any time. And that's what I get from it. I've used ChatGPT to do the description for this channel and my bio. Because I can't be asked.
You're always so wrong.
Because I can't be asked writing it out myself, and I wouldn't word it correct either. Wording's not my thing. So it looks more intelligent if a computer does it than I do it. So that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I could go on so many different rabbit holes with the tech stuff, but I really do think, like, there's been some studies that have come out already showing that basically, like, the brain is atrophying when using these systems, which is the opposite of any kind of helpful thing. So, like, for example, even just writing, if I'm writing on a page, my brain is literally like making new neural networks. I'm getting smarter. I'm increasing the gray matter. Versus if I'm just typing, and especially if I'm typing and chatting with ChatGPT, my brain is atrophying. So, like, if you just think about that for a second, like, you know, I think it's quite a big deal.
Yeah.
It's amazing to see how far we've come in like a couple generations from when you wanted information. You had to go to the library. You had to find the book that you wanted, that you thought would have the information, read it or search through it to try to get it. And now we put it into Google. We at least had to sift through the Google results ourselves and look for them.
But I still do that because I'm not always convinced that the first couple of answers are correct. Because when you search anything on Google, I used to work for a company that used to sell advertising space on the internet, and it's the only reason that I know this. The first few things that pop up are all sponsors. They literally pay, say, £50, £100 a day to be at the top of that page. It will say sponsor. It's not number one. It's not your analytics or your algorithm or anything like that. They're paying Google £100 every day to be there, and they don't always put in the same order. And I'm convinced that that's how it works with anything else you put in there. You'll always get the sponsors first, the people that are stupid enough to pay for it, before you get the actual results that you're looking for.
And they
so I'll scroll down.
Yeah,
but I'll go down to like page 3, 4, or 5 because I suppose the deeper you go, the more you're going to get the results that you believe are going to be correct.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really interesting. And also, like, who programmed the ChatGPT, right? Who put the information in there? Who chose what information could go in there and what information couldn't go in there? I've asked it things because I've done a ton of experiments with it. And I've asked it things that it's literally been like, I'm not allowed to tell you that. I'm not allowed to talk to you about this. You know? So or where it starts to come up and then it deletes.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting, I think, as well. So you always have to, you know, I think we should do this when we ask anyone anything, like, where's the information coming from? And so another thing about like psychics and mediums, if they're not very well trained or very, very good, then they're also filtering all the information that's coming in through their own programs, through their own mind, through their own subconscious and conscious as well. And it takes a lot of skill to be able to put your own thoughts and beliefs aside. Just alone, that takes a lot of skill, but then to allow the information to come through you in a way that's not biased, that's not, you know, filtered, is also really, I've definitely seen a psychic or two who I've been like, you're just telling me what you think, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's another thing to think about. But I mean, I tell my clients, like, question everything, including what I'm telling you. Don't take what I'm telling you as fact. Like, I'm not a dictator. I'm not the boss of you, you know? And that's why I'm super passionate about teaching people discernment, teaching people, especially in this day and age, like every freaking ad I see is AI. If you don't think that all the ads you're seeing on YouTube and on Instagram and on Facebook are AI, look at them again. Look at them for a second. Look and see if the mouth is even linking up with the voice.
But
You know?
have you seen what you have to do? So with Meta, obviously, get the people that own Facebook, Instagram, and all that. You have to declare that it's AI created.
If what?
You have, so if you post anything that's AI created, there's a little tick box. You have to tick that.
But not with ads. That's only content, not with ads. And every ad that I've seen in the past few weeks, it used to be most, now it's every ad is AI. Like, just look. I want people to see. So, like, you know, especially in the last few years, I think a lot of people are like, well, what's actually true and who can I actually trust? And I think that's great. Can also be really scary. And so I'm so passionate about teaching people discernment, how to know when someone tells you something in your body, if it's true or not, whether they think they're lying or not, you know, like, I think that that's an invaluable skill, especially at this day and age. Like, we don't know who to believe. So having that inner compass is like the most, I think the most effective use of your time and energy to develop that, because there's going to come a day where we're like, I mean, I think we're already there, where it's like, how do I know what to believe? And so if you can look inside and feel what to believe, like, that skill is invaluable, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And not even just famous people. They can like take your, you know, grandma and have her call you, and it's her voice and her phone number.
Yeah.
Or you just get a photograph from the 1800s and it will talk to you, and it has a movement.
Yep. I saw a picture on Facebook of Mona Lisa like that, and someone posted it with this story about Mona Lisa. I'm like, isn't this cool? I'm like, this is AI. Like, how do you not know? How do you not see that? Like, come on.
The other night,
Bigfoot videos. The AI Bigfoot videos.
Yeah. I haven't seen those.
Yeah.
So like, it has Bigfoot as an influencer. Like, he's going out recording.
Yeah.
Oh, they're funny.
Well, I turned into a mermaid the other night. I'm not showing anyone the video. It's fucking awful. But the progress of the video is very smooth, and it's just the way it blends and goes straight through is really, really good. The outcome, because it's me, is awful. It's just, no, I'm not sharing it. So don't ask. But it's just, that was just me putting a photo into some software that I've got. It took about 3-4 minutes, and then it created this 5-second video.
You also have to understand that when the technology that we're seeing now that we have available, like the versions of ChatGPT and whatever the other ones are called, and the Photoshop and video making and whatever, that's like at least 30 years behind what the powers that be have. What they have is a whole different level. Like, they're giving us like the trickles, okay? So imagine what they're doing that we're seeing that we have no idea it's fake.
Yeah. Well, I read 2 articles this week. One of them, first one, was holograms that you can physically pick up, touch, feel, and it's just light matter. It's nothing there, but you can pick it up in your hand. And the other one, I don't know how true this is, was that Elon Musk and whoever owns Samsung, I don't know the person's name, have both said that smartphones are going to be a thing of the past in the next 2 years.
Yeah, because they want you to have the chips.
So
First, so it goes from smartphones to wearables. So like we already have all the Apple Watches, right? The glasses, and then it goes to chip. So they already have them. You just like swipe, and then everything is credit, and then everything is social credit, and so cash is gone. Yeah. And you better be a good boy and girl, otherwise you don't get they'll just turn it off.
You don't get your allowance.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a clip from a movie or a show where you have like a upvote and a downvote for everybody you interact with. Like
Black Mirror.
Yeah.
That's such a good episode.
But then
I totally see it going that way in the future. Like, I had a positive interaction with you. Click.
But thinking about that though, have you seen the film with Justin Timberlake? I think it's called Timer, and you have a countdown on their arm, and they can go to different districts and get more. They can buy more time so they can live longer.
Mm-hmm.
It's a few years ago, and
time was like their currency.
Yeah,
like you can donate, like, give
but
time
all these elite had like infinite time, and but they was keeping it for themselves so they could pretty much stay immortal, and they was stopping everyone so they could pretty much have everything. And it's just, looking back at that movie now, it's like we ain't that far away from that actually happening.
Yeah. And I mean, if you look at so for example, I saw this video from a while ago, like I would say it was probably like 2018, of Elon Musk talking about Neuralink and talking about how he was like, the interviewer was like, well, explain it to me, because I don't know what you're saying, and he was like, basically all of a sudden you're going to be like, I'm really craving Applebee's, and you'll have absolutely no way to know if that was your own thought or if that was an ad and you didn't even know it was an ad, because just all of a sudden you're craving it. So it's not like you see an ad, it's like already just in your brain, you're craving it. And I do feel that this is already happening. And I see some people that are like, oh, I was thinking about this thing and then I saw an ad. It's a synchronicity. It's a sign. It's like, no, that's not actually what's happening. and this is, people are paying a lot of money for your mental space, for your thoughts. And so sometimes like, it's so terrible. But I'll just be like, well, I want to buy this thing that I saw an ad a while ago. So I'll just like think hard about it so I can see the ad again. And it works.
It does. Yeah. I've done that. And I'm like, or sometimes I will literally tell my phone, I'll be like, hey, that thing that I'm thinking about, show it to me again. Yeah. And then it pops up.
Yes, because I've actually got an example. So because the weather's so humid in the UK, you get bitten by every single little bug that there is. So I got a repellent. Mm-hmm. But I was looking for the electronic ones that you can charge up. And last year I was looking for a specific brand. So I went through my Amazon search, nothing on there whatsoever. Right? I couldn't even remember the name. So I didn't type anything in because I was looking for this specific brand. Within a day, this brand then popped up on Facebook, and it's the exact same one for roughly about the same price. I'm like, how? Is it just because it's the time of the year that it's happening? Do you know what I mean? Or because I've been thinking so much about it? Because it's one of those where I knew I should have bought it last year, but I didn't. I didn't think I needed it, and then realised that I did. And then all the adverts stopped. And then from the advert, it's just popping up everywhere and everything all the time.
Yeah. And I mean, there's part of it that's confirmation bias, right? Like, let's say you're like, I've never seen a red Jeep before, and then all you see is a red Jeep. Like, part of this is just our reality interacting with our minds. But at the same time, there's also this other thing, which is huge, which is like our energy and our minds and our thoughts are the most powerful piece of like, that's what they want to buy more than anything else. That's why Instagram is free. Instagram is not free. You're just not paying with money because money is less valuable.
Yeah.
But so I think that's why it's so important to develop your discernment, because you need to know what's really going on.
Yeah.
And I
Because
love that you
another
said that about Instagram, because like one of my favorite things that I've heard is if you can't see the product, you are the product.
Yeah. And I think that's 100% true.
Yeah. Because another thing I noticed as well, a few weeks ago, I seen an old car from the 90s, a Ford Fiesta XR2i. And I was like, oh. And then all of a sudden, I started seeing all these cars from like early 90s, like a Vauxhall, I think you call them Opel in the US, Cavaliers.
We have
Vauxhall,
Cavaliers.
or do you have is it Vauxhall or Opel?
I have no idea what you're
I don't know
asking.
anything about cars. Yeah,
Oh, it's
I
a
don't
car
know.
brand. I know in the UK it's Vauxhall. In Europe they call them Opel, but I don't know. I don't even know if you have them over there. And then all these cars from the 90s just started popping up, like a Ford Sierra, RS Turbo, Cosworth, and it's just all these different types of cars from the 90s, but there just seem to be more and more of them popping up, and then nothing. Just in random, like in the car park, driving down the road outside somebody's house, I'd drive past it, be parked up on the driveway having work done on it. Just General Motors is in the US, but it was just
GM.
Yeah, so it's just these old cars that everyone buy racers.
What are they called there?
Vauxhall. Vauxhall.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's weird. But anyway,
never knew
I'll take a photo and show you. But all these different old style cars would be popping up, and I'm like, am I in a time slip? I'd have to look around me to see what else was going on, because it was too frequent. I'm not talking. It started off like one a week, then it come to the point where it's 3-4 times a day. I'm like, I don't know what's happening. I just thought that there's something going on, but I couldn't work out what it was. It wasn't a time slip because everything else seemed normal. The people driving them would just look like just general normal people. It's just, they're going back to the old type of cars because everything's going electric now. And if anything happens with these cars from the 90s, like I used to have a Mini, and when the starter motor went, I had a hammer handle. I'd just smack it to get the engine working again. You can't do that now because it's full of sensors and electronic chips. Yeah, but it's full of sensors, electronic chips. So if it goes, it goes. There's nothing you can do about it.
I think that's also a good point. Like what do we do without our phones? So, like, for example, when I was growing up, when I first started traveling, it was before smartphones. So I had maps. Like I had like a paper map. Like I studied abroad and I had like a paper map, and that's how I got everywhere. Right.
Yeah.
Well, and then of course we did the whole like printing out the maps and taking them in our car and stuff like that. And then and then now we have this, and it's like, if you don't, so I was a couple of years ago in a new place, and I was in my car, and my phone died, and I was like, I have no idea how to get to anywhere. Like I'm totally screwed. I have no phone charger. Like, you know what? And I think it's really important to think about that. And so I said I just had to get my phone fixed recently, and I had to leave my phone at the Apple store for 7 hours. Now I'm in a place I don't know, and I'm using my maps to get everywhere on my phone, and I'm like, what am I going to do for 7 hours? I have no way to get anywhere. I don't know where I am. I can't even know what time it is. How do I know when to get back? I don't have a watch. And I think it's really important to think about how lost we are without our phones and how dangerous that is. Like, what if all of a sudden the grid goes down?
See, I've still got backup because I pretty much, as soon as I passed my driving test, I drove for a living. And I used to have a bag, and it was just full of maps of different locations. And then I'd have a atlas of the UK. And I would literally have to drive from the northwest of England right up to the north of Scotland using a paper map, or even into London, and it was all printed in black and white, and the roads were that close together, and it's like you don't even know if you're on the right road. It was just you get to where you was going, and then I'd say about 30% was guesswork.
Yeah. And when they used to have, like, you have to print out the MapQuest directions, it doesn't auto-update.
And it was like 8 pages deep. So I don't need that. I don't need
And
that.
you can't miss your turn, because if you miss your turn, you don't know where the hell you're going.
Yeah. The kids will never know. But I think it's really,
That's a good skill, map reading.
It's a really, really good skill. But I think it's just really important to think about that. And the maps are just one example, but like, what would we do? And this is also the point about like being so dependent on technology, on ChatGPT, on AI. Like and this is the point of these studies that I was talking about, is it's making us dumb.
Yeah.
We have no critical thinking skills, and we need those. We need our critical thinking skills. And so just to think about like, what would we do? I think is really important. And a lot of people have backups and like, but I think about that all the time, especially because I'm always traveling, and like, I don't usually know a whole lot about where I am. And I'm like, if my phone doesn't work, I'm kind of screwed. Whereas there was a time when no one even had a phone and they were fine.
Yeah.
So I think it's really interesting to think about like, what would you do if you literally didn't have your phone?
Yeah.
I think about that a lot too, because they have so much control, because they control the internet, and they control the internet, they control ChatGPT. If you ask a question, it's going to tell you the answer that they want you to hear. Even your car, your self-driving cars, if the internet tells it that it can't go here, it won't go there.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. But I've got
crime. You're trying to run away in your car, and it's just going to take you
happening.
instead.
Yeah, I've actually got an old just GPS phone. Just put the SIM card. You can phone and possibly text. I don't even think it's got Snake on it, but it's a backup, because I've got the adapter as well to put the SIM card in there. And what I charged last year about 2 weeks, not half a day. So you've got that as well. But my mate that I used to work with, he had a smart car, and he's going south. He lived near London. He's driving back, and it just came up on the dashboard, goodbye, and shut down. And he's going in the fast lane on the motorway, and it's only a little 2-door thing. And he's like, he proper crapped himself. But he managed to get onto the hard shoulder, sorted it, and then got going again, took it in the garage, and it was a faulty chip. There's nothing wrong with the car. It got something on it, so it, like dirt or oil or grease or something, so it couldn't read what it was supposed to read coming from the CPU.
Yeah, I think it's really important to think about how dependent we are on technology, and what that means, and who owns these technologies, because they're in charge. Yeah. And that's just the bottom line. And they can drive your car anywhere they want it. And or not at all. And it's very, very interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And this brings, I've been watching Walking Dead again. So imagine Walking Dead without the zombies. Yeah, this is what this is. Sorry. This is what it's getting to.
But I think it's like the apocalypse. Everybody's fending for themselves.
Yeah, I don't think that's too much of a stretch as a possible timeline. I think we're creating the future with everything that we say and do all the time. There's there's infinite possible timelines. I'm definitely not like saying it's definitely going to go to like a doom and gloom situation. But I think that it's really important to think about who's controlling your life. And I'm, sitting in the mall the other day, and nobody has the thing is that they don't have any personal power, because they're literally like hooked up to this grid.
No.
Like literally, if you look into their field, and they're not even really in, it's like nobody's home. And that's a pretty big deal, to not be in your own body, to not be in your personal sovereignty, to not be in your power. Like, you got nothing. And like seeing these people walk around with these goggles, and it's like,
just like all the time. That is it.
And it's not an exaggeration. And just as someone who doesn't like to go to a mall, to be there, I mean, my jaw was on the floor half the time. I was like, this is real life. This is real life happening. And like, you go into a store and all the husbands are like crunched over, like inside their phones, you know, and the sons. And it's really, it made me really sad and really worried for humanity.
Yeah. Well, that is one thing.
Sorry, go on. I was at a restaurant the other night, and the person I was with was like in the bathroom, and I was sitting there and I was trying not to, like, you know, doom scroll. So I'm like, you know, thinking, I'm looking around, I'm like people watching, and the waitress came, she's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "What?" Because I'm like I'm sitting by myself and not on my phone. Like, there has to be something wrong. I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
That is one thing I don't do when I'm out and about, is go on my phone. I'll go on it for what I need to do at that time, and then I put it away.
It's really rare. And even like if I go out to eat with someone, or I'm sitting talking with someone and they're on their phone, I just stop talking. I'm like, I'll wait. Like, I have no desire to have a conversation with someone who's also on their phone. Like, if you have to make a text or whatever, fine. Like, I will literally wait. I'm not going to interact with you while you're playing Candy Crush or whatever. I mean, come on, people.
Yeah.
It's so rude.
See, I do that, like, if I can't go to sleep, I'm sat and the TV's on, but I'm not really into it. I'll play whatever games on my phone and do what I have to do. But if I'm out and about, then not to.
Yeah, I think it's also just really important to see, like, so one of the reasons I think it's, so for example, my phone is in grayscale. So unless I turn on the color, because like I need to look at something, it's in grayscale, because the actual people who designed the phones made them so hyper real that they're actually designed to overstimulate the nervous system. They're designed to harm you, these graphics. And so, and they're designed to take you out of your personal power and your space. Like, literally, my teacher spoke to the designer of these phones, and this is what they told them. This is how we develop them. And so I think that a lot of people who say, like, oh, I can't meditate, like, I'm not blaming you, but it's so hard because you're so addicted to the phones and so addicted to the dopamine. And it's not your fault, but like, you have to make a conscious effort to go less. So like, I have my screen time thing on, and when it goes off, I'm like, okay. And if it goes off and I'm like, but I want to doom scroll more, it's like, whoa, that's not a good sign, you know? But so to be able to, because the more time you spend on your phone, the harder it is going to be for you to meditate. That's
definitely.
Just
well, I have on mine, I have it set every day of the week, weekends a lot, at 9 p.m. It goes on focus, personal. So it cuts out don't get any notifications or nothing. If people ring me, it's like on a favorites list. If it's important, first time it might not come through, but if you ring again, it'll come through, because obviously there's something going on. But the rest of it, and then I just go on it as and when, and then I think it's set, because I get up about 6:30 in the morning, so it's either set for 6 or 7. I can't remember. So when I get up in the morning, I can scroll through, see what I've missed, and then go from there. So
it's good to know that, because I think that I've messaged you at like
yes,
my
you
time,
have.
something popped up in my head, and I was like, oh crap, Becky's probably like,
no, it's fine. I'll say you can message me or whatever anytime you want, but when it's in that private mode, it doesn't come through. So I will read it. I just don't always read it as like there and then. Yeah. So
because I remember I sent it and I'm like, oh shit, they're like 5 hours ahead.
I send it to you. I think if I wake her, it's tough.
I think it's like we have responsibility for ourselves, right? So like if your text wakes me up, then I should have had it in airplane mode or on do not disturb. You know, I sleep with my phone on airplane mode because I don't want the radiation from the phone next to me while I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, that's my responsibility to turn it off or on silent or whatever.
Yeah. Well, mine's it's pretty much always on silent. Do not disturb. That's it. I can't remember what it was called. Simple as that.
It's good to have boundaries with ourselves. So like, I think probably 99% of people, the first thing they do when they wake up is look at their phones, which is totally normal. But you're then instantly like in the anxiety of everything you have to do, everything you miss, everything that's happening in the world. And so what I say is, before you look at your phone, so maybe your alarm goes off, you got to turn it on snooze or turn it off or whatever, fine, for a second. And then sit in bed with your eyes closed and just breathe and think like 5 things that you're grateful for, and then a couple things that you're proud of yourself for, and then start your day and then look at your phone. And I guarantee this will change your day.
Yes.
It's just like, even just a couple of minutes of being intentional with your time before you look at your phone, because otherwise you're instantly just like sucked in, and then you're all stressed out and you're like, oh my god, I have all these millions of things to do today and the world was burning while I was sleeping. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's not helpful. Is it helpful or harmful? You know, this is not helpful.
It is a handful, but that's one thing that I do. Because I use my phone for work, but I don't go on social media until I'm getting to the end of my working day or until I've got home. If a notification pops up, I'll look at it and then just swipe it across, or I'll have a look later, unless it's a private message. But any social media, I'm back on TikTok, by the way, but I'm not posting anything. I don't know if I can follow anyone. So TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, they can all wait. They're not going anywhere. The notification's still going to be there after. So I just do it as and when. I check the important stuff that I need to do in the morning, and then I use my phone as and when I need to throughout the day.
Yeah. And I'm really not blaming anyone, because like I'm not trying to shame anyone. Like, it's real that these things are designed for us to be addicted to them. And I've definitely seen it in myself. Like when my thing goes off, like your screen time is up, sometimes I get pissed and I'm like, but I want to scroll more, you know?
Yeah.
Or sometimes I've been meditating before and I'll like see like my Instagram feed in my field, and I'm like, oh my God, I am so deep in this. And it's literally designed to put us through this and to make us so addicted. And so I'm not blaming or shaming anyone. I'm just inviting you to have more boundaries with yourself around it for your own peace and happiness and personal development.
Yeah.
And on
100%.
that note, we're coming up to the end, so why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on their phones?
Yay! So
well
you
done.
can find me on your phones on Instagram. So my Instagram is Jaya Simrit Kaur, and the link in my bio takes you to my website, which has all the things I offer. And it's very, very low tech. So I don't have like a big fancy website. You can literally email me from there with your name, and I'll subscribe you to my email list. And I have an upcoming group offering in September. I'm open for one-on-one sessions through the end of July, and then I'll take a small break in August. But I'll do the oracle work, which I talked about, and also just healing sessions. And it doesn't just mean if you're sick. Like, you can come see me for any issue in your life, and we'll do the work.
Everybody could use some healing.
There we go.
I think so.
So that's your Instagram and your offerings page.
Oh, it's like one long word.
Oh, you didn't put a space in.
Oh no, I did. I just copied. I'll do it again. I'll do it separate. Sorry.
No problem. But oh my gosh, you guys, thank you so much for having me. This was so fun.
Thank you for coming on. It was a great discussion. We got deep into like a couple topics. Didn't know where it was going to go, but it went in an interesting direction.
I didn't either. I had no idea what we were going to talk about, but now all the tech people probably hate me. Sorry, tech overlords.
It's fine, because it doesn't matter anyway.
You already red flagged for coming on the show.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. There's definitely like a big X over my name on I think I'm on all the watch lists already.
You're in good company, so it's fine.
Yeah. I think a lot of us are on them. So, right, and there's Joffrey's page. There you go. So,
so if you don't want to be on social media, just send me an email and I'll subscribe you to my email list. I do not bombard you. I swear to God, I send like maybe one email a month with my new offerings and my musings, and that's it.
yeah.
I promise.
Well, both of these links are in the description on the show notes anyway. So if you go back on this, you can see in the right at the bottom, just after your bio. So everything's on there. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Absolutely loved it. I knew I would anyway, because it's a Brandon connection, so it's going to be good.
Yes, we love you, Brandon, and I'll be happy to come back anytime. Your audience is also awesome. I love you guys. Thank you so much for all your comments. You guys have such a good community. Like, I love them. I'm super grateful to be here. No,
thank you. And yes, thank you everyone in the chat. Thank you to the new chatters. Well done to everyone who got the membership this month. A lot. Well, I'd say all of you deserved it, but some more than others. So, yeah.
Thank you to everybody listening back on podcast, on Audible.
Yes. Not Instagram, Spotify. What am I on about Instagram? Because it's got Instagram right on there.
Oh boy.
That's what it is. So we are not on this Friday, as you know, but we're back next Wednesday with Eric J. Hecker. He's going to be coming on and hopefully talking about Antarctica and secret weapons program and all that kind of stuff. And then next Friday we have a panel show. Now someone's had to drop out because they're doing some filming, so Amy Dent cannot be part of that because the filming is on the same day. But Polly, is it Rotherman?
Yes, Rotherman.
Yes, Rotherman. Yeah, that's it. Sorry.
Yeah. Polly, you know her. She's always in the chat.
Yeah, Polly. Anyway, Polly's coming on, and possibly Tommy, if he hasn't got anything that is, as long as he's got no birthdays, he's fine. He'll be coming on. So that's next Friday. So Wednesday and Friday next week. Now Fridays is the chat is going to be for members only. Everyone's going to be able to watch it, but you are only going to be able to chat if you are a paying member, and you'll know if you're a paying member because your name comes up in green. So that is everything. So thank you again, Jaya, for coming on. Thank you to all my moderators for not being here. Og is out seeing a medium. Nickname is on holiday, and I think Gerald and Jane are doing a recording or another show somewhere else. So we have no moderators tonight. So I'm glad we didn't get trolled because I don't know what I'd have done.
Everybody seemed really cool in the chat. Thank you guys for being so cool.
All right, so we will see you guys on Wednesday.
Yes, so have a great weekend, and we'll see you then. And if you got any things on bingo, let Nicole know and she'll mark it all down. So that is everything. Have fun and see you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.